How you doing? My name is Lucas, and today I'll do a little book review on Plato, the complete works. Enjoy. The reason I got interested in Plato is because I was very fascinated by Atlantis. I still am, by the story of Atlantis, and you can find it in Plato. It is in the book of Timaeus, I think. And recently, there's been a lot of data coming in that suggests that there has been a big disaster, a big cataclysm about 11,600 years ago. A cataclysm that is so big that the entire world would have been wiped out. Probably only like 2% or 1% of the world population would have survived that. And in Plato, in Timaeus, in that book, Plato says the story of Atlantis is about 9,000 years old. Well, the civilization would have lived 9,000 years ago in his time. And he lived about 2,000 years ago, maybe a little longer. And so that aligns with the date of the cataclysm. So I was like, man, this is kind of realistic. Maybe it did happen. So I decided I wanted to read some Atlantis and see if it holds up. And I think it is a very interesting description of a society, of a kingdom, really. Well, I don't know if it's a kingdom or a republic, whatever. It's on an island, and the description is just super detailed. So I think it might be true. I don't know, but that's where my interest came from. I then really enjoyed that, so I decided to just read the whole thing because I was like, the older a book is, and if it's still being read, the longer it's probably still going to be read, if you follow what I'm saying. It's a timeless book. It's always been read. Well, it's a collection of books, but it's timeless literature, and it's always been read, and it's always been valued. So I was thinking that maybe it's smart to read older books that have always been valued so that I'm sure that I'm reading some good literature. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it mostly because I always thought that people in the past were pretty dumb compared to us. And now after having read this, I'm pretty dumb compared to them. At least compared to the philosophers. Like, I know nothing. These guys, they knew astrology, philosophy, geometry, everything. They were just super educated, and the fact that people that long ago were so smart is just super cool to me. Like, I had no idea. To go a little bit more into depth on what Plato, his complete works are actually about, it's a bunch of books, and they all contain Socratic dialogues, meaning that there's a dialogue in which Socrates is talking and a counter interlocutor, word I learned, is talking, and but it's basically Plato who's writing it, and I think the interpretations differ, but the way I interpret his these dialogues is that Plato is usually personified in the form of Socrates, and he tries to show his ideas in his form, in Socrates' form. And these dialogues really, most of them show Socrates being the wise person, being the person who wins arguments, or at least maybe he doesn't win arguments. Maybe it's more that he shows his intelligence through these dialogues, and he shows that you need to be very careful in your thinking, that you need to be very critical of your thoughts, and that you have to really understand your ideas about certain things before you are sure about something. So basically, the simplest thing, like, for example, defining the word pious, there's a whole book about that, and it's like 30 pages long. It just goes into depth on these little things, and it really made me more critical about my own thoughts and my own ideas. So that has really helped me, beside the book just being so well written and so interesting, because it also just goes by all these different topics at the time, and it also goes in on politics and economics and geometry. It was revelatory to me, and I think everybody would be happy to read this. Well, maybe not happy, but it would be valuable to anyone to read this for sure. Something that I read that I didn't expect was that Plato is a straight up pedophile. He talks abundantly about his love for young boys. He totally had sex with them. It was also the norm back in the day, believe it or not. This was all very shocking. It was mostly shocking to me that it was the norm, that it was basically common sense to have a wife and also have a young male lover. So yeah, super messed up, but I'm happy that nowadays it's not the norm anymore. I also believe that Plato was on psychedelics. We do not have exact data for this. We do not have proof, but I can speculate a bit here. I myself have done psychedelics, and the way Plato talks about divine realms existing next to reality was something I could completely relate to. And I think that if you had not done psychedelics, you would not be able to understand anything of it. Also, during Plato's lifetime, there were festivals being held in Eleusis. Brian Marescu made a book, The Immortality Key, and he shows data, he shows pretty good evidence that there were indeed psychedelic substances being used at these festivals. So yeah, I'm pretty convinced, and I think that makes the whole complete works very interesting, because maybe Plato got some of his insights, all this knowledge, maybe he got some of this from his psychedelic trips, because we often see scientists and other very brilliant people coming to good insights thanks to psychedelics. So yeah, interesting. All in all, it is a very long read. It's about 1,800 pages. It was definitely worth my time, mainly because I think this is some of the most valuable literature on the planet right now, and it's always been read and it's always been valued. So I think anyone who likes reading would want to read this. So I can't really go into depth on each and every one of these books because there's just too many. I also didn't completely comprehend everything. I had to look up a bunch of words. English is my second language. And yeah, that's about it. I'm looking forward to reading some shorter books now because it was very long. But I did enjoy it. So thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please leave a like. Please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you for the next one. Goodbye.